Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus Ancient Gladiator, today with Pillar Knowledge Tabletop Games. Today's episode is Vampire the Masquerade Vendetta. Normally I have the box cover, but I will explain what happened later. Goal of the game is to have the most influence. To do that, you'll need to win at locations and build up an alliance that's worth keeping around. At the start of the game, you'll have your choice of a number of clans equal to the number of players plus one. Chosen at random from the set of seven: the Bruja, the Gangrel, the Nosferatu, the Malkavians, the Tremere, the Toreador, and the Ventru. Hilariously, even though there are no modes to actually play with all seven of the position tokens do fit around one location. Just something I want to figure out later if it's viable. Anyway, once you have your clan, you'll take your clan's starting cards of Hunt and Ready, and the remaining deck will be shuffled and put onto your sheet like so. You'll also have your stay withdraw tokens. You'll start with 6 blood and 3 influence. You'll start with a victim that will provide you with blood every turn. Victims include the designer of the game. And a random player will start with an ambition token. As for the locations 1 and 2 are used with 4 or fewer players. 3 is used with 5 or more players. And Princess Haven is always used. Technically, 1 and 2 are always used. It's just that 3 is left out if there's only 3 or 4 players. The deck of human and vampires allies should be shuffled. Everyone's clan deck should be shuffled. And then we're off. Starting with the first player. It's part of establishing the round. Card is dealt to each of the locations. By winning the location, you'll get this ally. So, towards actually winning the location, players will need to play cards. Before they do, they will get their choice of 2 cards from the top of their clan deck. One goes to their hand, the other goes to the bottom of the deck. Players will then have a number of planning rounds equal to everyone's hand, current hand size, -1. It's all to keep people guessing. So starting with the first player, holding the ambition token. Actually, I'm missing a step here. Before anything else, you'll get blood equal to the feed value of your alliance members. So every victim's worth 1. Other allies might be worth different amounts. So yeah, new card, blood, and then planning. You'll take a card from your hand. You'll place it at a location by putting it on your position token. And then you can spend up to 3 blood. Every point of blood you spend is worth that much more power. If you play a card face down, you also have to spend one, and the blood goes to the bank. Alternatively, if you don't mind that your plan is public, you can play it face up. So the card is a black background, it's just a straight up effect. If it is white, it's a special reaction. If certain conditions are met, things will happen. And it'll go around clockwise until everyone's played all but their last card, and then locations will get resolved. First off, there'll be an opportunity, starting at location 1, there'll be an opportunity for each player to either stay or withdraw. If a player withdraws, they return any blood they had to their pool, and they move their card to the Prince's Haven. If they withdraw from the Prince's Haven, then they just return the card to their hand. Then any remaining cards will be flipped up for that location. If you withdraw, your cards will be flipped face up as they move to the Haven. But now any remaining cards are flipped face up and resolved. So let's say they set up here and they set up here as well. All right. Let's say they had that much blood. Let's say they both went heavy into blood here. So first off, if there are any sunset effects, that's part of the preparation. Those will be resolved first. You'll know it's preparation because of the sunset symbol. And then you'll resolve the conflict. You'll count up. First, you'll resolve any effects on the conflict cards. So, feral weapons from the gangrel. Every deployed blood you have at this location adds 2 power instead of 1. So, they're currently at a 7. Meanwhile, the Malkavian auction of blood. Immediately after revelation, your null rivals must secretly bid blood from your pools. The lowest bidder must flip one of their deployed cards at this location face down. Then play any blood you bid at this location. Your rivals lose their bids. So it's going to come down to a secret bid to try to stay there. And then you'll actually resolve the conflict. So figure out the totals. So 7 versus 5. If the gangrel went all in on trying to beat their auction of blood, then you're going to stop them. And win the conflict. So if there's ever a tie, then the player who comes first in the turn order wins it. So the player currently holding this token goes first. So if somehow there was a tie, they would win. Finally, if there are any aftermath effects, which are represented with the moon symbol, those will apply. But before that, we'll actually get the conflict rewards. So the player with the highest total wins the ally, wins an influence in the first round of the game. In the second round of the game, it's 2. In the third round of the game, it's 3. If it's at the Princess Haven, it's worth 1 more. The second place player wins an influence for the first round of the game, or 2 if it's the second or third, and also takes a victim card for their alliance. If there was a third player there, they were in third place, they just get 1 influence regardless of the round. Again, adding +1 for the Haven. You'll get the rewards, you'll do the aftermath. Any cards or blood played there are left until the end of the round. We resolve location 1, and then location 2 and 3, and then the Haven. And once that's done, all deployed blood goes back to the bank. All the deployed cards go back to the player's hands. If you have any face down Diablo tokens, they return face up. So let's get into some of the more desperate aspects. So let's say you want to have blood available, but you just don't have it. What you might end up doing is draining your victim or an ally. When you do that, you take an amount of blood equal to here, a little skull symbol, and then they're added over here, up to the left of the card. And now you have more blood to work with. But the price is, instead of having the 1 influence at the end of the game for keeping them alive, they're now going to be worth nothing. It's entirely possible that you wind up with a pool of no blood, in which case you are forced to drain someone at random out of your alliance. If you only have 1 card, then it's just that one. If you have multiple, then it's going to be random. Being forced to drain someone when you're empty is called frenzy. If you force another vampire to go frenzy, you take an influence. In addition, if you force, if a vampire drains a another vampire, they get a Diablerie token. In addition to everything else. So whenever you go to pay blood for go into a location, you can flip over your Diablerie tokens and add 1 more. You can this completely ignores the limit of 3. However, if at any point during the game you end up with a third Diablerie token, you you have completely tanked your reputation and you are out of the game. It is the heinous crime of the vampire world. Because there's power in it. So it's a very tempting thing to do, but they're trying to uphold Masquerade and uphold some kind of order. So they would prefer, most of them would prefer not to let that happen. Yeah. After everyone's got their cards back, we'll set up for another round. After the third round of the game, we go to the end game scoring. You'll add up the influence of any cards you still have in your alliance based on their value here. Any cards that you have in your drain pile based on the value here. Any actual tokens you have. And if we're playing with relics, the value of the relic, regardless of whether or not you used it. Highest total wins. If there's a tie, then whoever's got the most blood left in their pool. If there's still a tie, then it goes off of turn order, uh, which will be whoever won the conflict of the Princess Haven. So I forgot, one of the benefits of winning the Princess Haven is not just the bonus influence, but also the ambition token. This is how you go first. And this is your tiebreaker, even through the end of the game. Try to hold on to it. So yeah, other things that happen with other ways to play the game. With 3 players on the first round, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck and keep 2 of them. And then again, the number of actual planning rounds will be uh, your number of cards -1. Location cards can be added as part of the setup for the game at random everywhere except the Princess Haven. So let's say this location was the collar. If you send an opponent into frenzy here, you gain an additional 1 influence. So there's stuff as well. There are relics. So as part of the setup for the game, you'll take 1 equal to a number of players +1. And then starting with the player to the right of the player holding the ambition token, each player going in counterclockwise order will take 1. You can use it once during the game. When you do, it's flipped over. Regardless of whether or not you used it, you get the influence bonus on the bottom right corner. The more powerful it is, the less it's going to be worth. So the highest value relic is Cornelius's Shades, which lets you look at the face down deployed cards at 1 location. If you're contemplating whether or not to commit to a location and either stay there or withdraw, then it helps, I guess. Finally, there's tag team mode. So with 4 or 6 players, and this is the only way you can play with 6 players. Let's say we have the Toreador as well. So it would alternate between, so that the opposites are going to be a team. And then, so it's probably the one. All right. So follow the regular setup. And recommend that you determine the teams before choosing your clans. And place your position tiles. Make sure that you and your teammate are on opposite sides. And it determines the turn order as well. So let's say the Brew we're still going first. The Brew are on the team with the Toreador. And it's turn order to Tremere, okay, and so on and so forth. So whenever you would apply the effects of one of your cards to target opponents and/or rivals, you choose whether this includes your teammate or not. Whatever you think is most advantageous to you. However, you don't gain any influence if you send your teammate into frenzy. And when determining the winner of the conflict, the 2 members of a team are ranked separately. Ideally, you want one of you to be rank 1, the other rank 2. And at the end of the game, the team with the most influence is the winner. So, whatever, let's say we've got these 2 on the team. So, their influence together is going to be what's checked to see if they win. In case of a tie, most blood. And again, if that's tied, ambition token. And that's pretty much it. So I've yet to play this game with anyone. Why would I like it? There's a lot of replayability in the just trying out the different clans each time. It seems like it moves very quickly. It's not it's not a long drawn out kind of game of that's just going to take forever because people consult. There's no stalling. On your turn you play a card. Eventually you get down to one card left in hand, and when everyone's down one card left in hand, everything resolves. And the resolution doesn't seem too complicated. But most of all, I'm just happy because it's Vampire the Masquerade in a board game. I'm always curious to see alternative implementations of other tabletop games. So there's probably one issue that I had with my specific copy. As you notice, instead of holding out the box cover, I held out the rulebook. So the copy that I got, the inside top cover of the game had mold. I don't know why, I don't know what happened, but it felt like a repeat of the last time I got something from Valley Games. But yeah, it's just kind of a weird thing. But yeah, aside from that, I think this is pretty cool. I have yet to see really how competitively balanced the factions are. It might be something I'll see in the long run, but I think the one way to balance it out is just play multiple games and have each player trying out a different faction each time. And so you count the number of wins, and then you keep track of the scores at the end, and the player whose worst faction score is the highest out of everyone else's worst faction scores gets a bonus 2 points for doing well despite it being their worst. I don't know. It's just something I like to think about. But yeah, um, Vampire Vendetta. Check it out. It's actually not too expensive. That's the other thing I like about it. It wasn't. It didn't cost all that much. The only thing I really had to invest in was card sleeves because I do intend to try this out quite a bit. Yeah. There are other vampire board games as well. If you're curious, there's Rivals and now there's Chapters. Yeah, there's for some reason out of like all the World of Darkness games, Vampire seems to be the one with like the biggest spotlight on it. So check out the old TTRPG as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. This Pillar. I'll see you next time.